The Marjorie Taylor Green saga is in full swing, and it's really just showing you how the Republican Party is extremely divided. Now, if you remember, Marjorie Taylor Green has been floating conspiracy theories. She said the California wildfires were started by Jewish space light beams, which is extremely anti-Semitic. She's also said that, what else has she said? Oh, yeah. Nancy Pelosi should get executed for treason. Oh, that's one. And also talked about AOC and Ilhan Omar saying that they needed to swear on the Bible because it was the law, even though there is no such law. And the Constitution specifically says that Congress shall make no law respecting religion because this is a country where religious freedom is valued. So you do not have to swear on the Bible. You can swear on it. Now, maybe after Congress, if you do something like a crime, then you can be removed and they can vote to say, hey, this person is no longer allowed to serve publicly in office. But, it's not very many examples, if any. I don't think there's any precedent for removing somebody for something that they did or said before Congress. However, stripping her of her committee assignments, yes, please. We don't need her on the education committee, and we don't need her on the budget committee either. With these conspiracy theories, it's ridiculous. Shouldn't have her. So, Republicans voted. Well, actually, the House in general was voting to remove her from her committee positions. And meanwhile, on the opposite side of the Republican Party, you have Liz Chaney, who voted for Donald Trump's impeachment, and some Republicans actually wanted to remove her from her position. Now, that vote took place, which you're going to see in the clip that I'm going to show you in a second, and she was not removed. Over the entire House voted for that, and pretty much all the Democrats voted for her to keep her position, and some of the Republicans, actually a good majority of the Republicans, I don't want to say majority, about more than half of the Republicans carcassed with her. So I guess technically it's a majority, but there were 63 House Republicans who were not supportive of her keeping her position. In my opinion, for doing the right thing, for voting that Donald Trump should be impeached for inciting an insurrection. Now, whether he would be impeached or whether you could legally impeach him, yes, you can make an argument that he didn't actually incite the insurrection, which I disagree with, but I do see people's argument there. But removing her for voting her conscience, I think that's crazy and it's ridiculous, but it shows you how divided the Republican Party is between the so-called traditional Republicans or moderate Republicans and the far-right fascist Republicans. Or in other words, the fake populist Republican movement, or the open elitism populist movement. Do you want Donald Trump, who's a fake populist, or do you want Mitt Romney, who's basically an open elitist? So, but this saga is crazy. Brian Williams on Nightly News did a segment where he discussed basically what's going on in the Republican Party. So let's take a quick look at that.
Well, good evening once again. After what was day 15 of the Biden administration, a day that saw Republicans fighting for hours over the future of their party still yet to be determined. They spent this evening locked in a room on Capitol Hill arguing over the fates of freshman Majorie Taylor Green, the Georgia Republican, the QAnon follower, the conspiracy theorist, and Liz Chaney, the veteran from Wyoming, the third most powerful Republican in House leadership. Tonight, Chaney survived an effort to strip her of her leadership position because of her recent vote to impeach Donald Trump. The secret ballot vote came down to 145 to 61. The full House will vote tomorrow under the control of the Democrats, remember, on whether to kick Green off her committees, Budget and Education. Green's past comments include, but aren't limited to, her view that school shootings were staged, the Clintons murdered John F. Kennedy Jr., that there was no evidence that a plane hit the Pentagon on 9/11. It goes on from there into violence against Democrats and rabid anti-Semitism.
Majorie Taylor Green is totally out of control. Why would Kevin McCarthy continue to associate himself and the Republican conference with someone who leader Mitch McConnell has characterized as a cancer? The last time I checked, cancers need to be cut out and not allowed to metastasize.
Republican leader McCarthy issued a statement after his meeting with Green this evening, condemning her past statements. He went on to accuse the Democrats, of course, of fueling the controversy by scheduling tomorrow's vote, saying, quote, "I offered Majority Leader Steny Hoyer a path to lower the temperature and address these concerns. Instead of coming together to do that, the Democrats are choosing to raise the temperature by taking the unprecedented step to further their partisan power grab regarding the committee assignments of the other party." Well, late this evening, after his meeting with his Republican members, McCarthy defended Congresswoman Green.
I think it would be helpful if you could hear exactly what she told all of us, denouncing QAnon. I don't know if I say it right. I don't even know what it is. Any from the shootings. She said she knew nothing about lasers or all the different things that have been brought up about her.
He has said QAnon before. He knows full well what QAnon is.
Yo, bro. He said he fully knows what QAnon is. He has said it before. It's so funny how, like, these Republicans were so, when Trump was in office and when they were getting reelected in droves, everything was fine. They were so willing to embrace the far right and the conspiracy theories and, you know, the white supremacists and all these fringe groups. But yet, now that Donald Trump's out of office and they're getting a lot of backlash from their, like, older, more conservative base that, you know, likes decorum, they're like, oh man, well, we're losing that part of our base, so now we're going to have to distance ourselves from QAnon and from all these conspiracy theories and white supremacist groups. However, at the same time, as they're distancing themselves from these groups, they're losing them as voters. So a lot of people are saying they won't vote again. Some people are saying they'll vote, but only for the candidates that support Trump. Some people want to join the Patriot Party. So either way, the Republicans are screwed here, guys. I want you to know, either way, the party's done. Okay? Look, there have been splits in parties before that have caused, like, great realignments in political parties and allegiance. And there was actually a study done. I'm not sure who did the study, but I did see in a Vox News video that there was a study done on party realignments and how often they happen. And basically they were saying we were kind of overdue for a party realignment, and all the events that are happening now are basically the causation of the political landscape completely changing in America. And a lot of people who are formerly Republicans may become Democrats. Like, you know, Republicans like, say, a John Kasich-esque Republican or a Liz Chaney may actually become Democrats, you know, and leave the Republican Party. Then you also have the fringe people may start their own party, like the Majorie Taylor Green could become a Patriot Party member if she is, you know, if Donald Trump, in fact, does actually start the Patriot Party. So you could be looking at a Republican Party that's split into two, but what you're also seeing is a lot of conservatives who like that decorum, who don't like the direction the Republican Party is going, and saying, hey, I'm no longer a Republican, I'm an independent. Or some are even saying, hey, I'm a Democrat, you know? So, it's very interesting. It's very interesting to see. Now, what does this mean for the Democratic Party? Because I know a lot of people are talking about how the Democrats will probably win a sweep of elections if the party continues to be divided. And if there is a third party started by Trump, if they go down this path. But not a lot of people are discussing what this means for Democrats. So, when you have people like John Kasich, for instance, supporting Joe Biden, these people really think like the Lincoln Project people, Which, by the way, there's a scandal with the Lincoln Project. Their co-founder sexually harassed like 100 people, and like one of them was an underage minor. But I'm gonna make a whole video on that, so I don't want to get too much into that. But yeah, these people really think they have sway in the Democratic Party. And the way they talk about Joe Biden, Joe Biden should listen to Republicans. He should listen to conservatives. Like, they genuinely believe that they can reshape the Democratic Party. So what I'm afraid of seeing is the Democratic Party moving further to the right as a result of a lot of these former Republicans and conservatives starting to join or at least caucus with Joe Biden in the Joe Biden wing of the Democratic Party, which is, the moderate Democrats or the neoliberal Democrats. This could be bad as far as getting progressive policy done, and a lot of people aren't talking about it. But if these people get influence in the party, all the progress that we've made, all the progressive progress that we have made over the past 8 years could be halted. It could be halted. Because Joe Biden has demonstrated time and time again that he's almost more willing to listen to Republicans than to listen to common sense Democrats, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC. I can't talk today. Elian Omar, Bernie Sanders. He's more willing to listen to Republicans than people in his own party. So it is a possibility that the party moves even further right. Now, a lot of these Republicans, like John Kasich, for instance, they might have previously said, hey, we're against gay marriage or whatever, but they know the political, or even like they might not have supported Black Lives Matter back in like 2012 if it was a thing back in 2012, but they know the political landscape has changed. So they're either going to change their positions on minorities, LGBTQ, etc., gay marriage, trans people. They're either going to change their positions, like genuinely, or they're going to pretend they changed their positions, or maybe they actually never really cared about the issue in the first place, but because their base was conservative, they held a conservative position, and now they might hold the more liberal one. So, as far as identity politics, I can see the party getting more progressive, if you want to call it that, which to some extent I think is progressive, but some extent I think is nonsense. Like, you have California saying if you mispronounce someone on purpose, then you have to pay a fine. That's an attack on, I don't think that law actually passed, but people are lobbying for that, and that's an attack on free speech. So things like that I think can be negative, but if you want to say like allow trans people to serve in the military or get health care, right, or things like that, okay, I'm all for it. I can support that. But I do think the identity politics is ridiculous in the Democratic Party right now, and it might get more ridiculous, as you have these former, like, establishment Republicans kind of swing Democrat. But as far as Medicare for all and stuff, if these people get in Joe Biden's ear about a public option, we will not see a public option. I don't think we're going to see one anyway, to be honest, at this point. Thankfully, they were not able to sway him on the coronavirus relief package and on $15 minimum wage thus far. Because if you see my last video, he's going to push forward with his package. He rejected the Republican one, said, hey, you can work with us. If you don't work with us, we're going to do budget reconciliation, so. But now, do I trust Joe Biden to his word on that? Kind of, but kind of not, because he has lied to us before. He could lie again. But, at least he held his ground on that. But anyway, generally speaking, he seems to listen to Republican policy more than Democrats. So I am afraid that the Democrats might get more power and win more states, like, say, Texas and Florida, in the next presidential election if there's a split in the Republican Party. But an unintended consequence of that could be that the progressive movement is stifled by adding more so-called moderates or neoconservatives to the Democratic Party and the Democratic caucus. So I don't know, a lot to break down, man. But I have to say, it's very fun watching the Republican Civil War happen right in front of our faces. I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving it. Keep it coming.